And welcome back to the Questionable Scale Modeling channel. And here is the finale on my 2010 Spa race, Lamborghini Murcielago by Ryder Engineering. And it was actually quite a fun build. The final assembly that I finished yesterday was a little bit nerve-wracking just because this has a ton of body parts and stuff you really can't put on until you're almost finished. Including these little, I can't remember what these things are called, maybe canards, I think. They just kind of hover in midair. They're kind of, I don't know. I think they're way out of scale, but honestly, because they should be a much thinner than that. But let's go through it and I'll show you what I did really well and what I didn't do really well. So first and foremost, let me grab a toothpick with cotton on it so I don't scratch it. So the perfect thing that I did was these doors. We're just going to gently raise it. We're going to try to gently raise it. Here we go. And they stay up. And then they go back down. Oh, let me show this real quick. So in the very corner, come on, get back up there. That's good. All right, so in the very back corner, right here of this door sill, is a little 1/32 scale or 1/32 inch magnet. And then embedded inside the door in the same spot is another one. So what that allows me to do is to close this door and it automatically goes right back where it's supposed to be. Just like that. So I'm pretty proud of that. Let's see. I think one of the worst things about the final assembly was this panel here. And there's another one on the other side, just like it, that's the actual fuel filler panel. Those did not go on well. They fit perfectly, but because the doors are already installed at that point, it was just very fiddly because there's a little sill that it sits on, but then way up here there's a little notch that it has to go into before it sits in that sill. And had I really thought about it in advance, that little lip that piece and this piece sits on, I would have masked that off and left it bare plastic, so I could have just added some slow acting plastic glue instead of using super glue, because the super glue, after moving it around so many times trying to fit it in there while not breaking anything off, I ended up with some glue marks in here. So it's not that big a deal. I'm not too concerned about it. It's got more issues with it than that's going to be noticed. So first and foremost, let's talk about my finish. So this is a matte finish. It's not a complete dull coat, but this car, the real car, is supposed to be 100% carbon fiber, and it's not a gloss finish at all. I didn't have a full carbon fiber wrap to put on this. Nobody makes one, and I didn't feel like trying to make my own. And if I had, I would have ended up having to buy several carbon fiber sheets, which they're about $10 to $20 a sheet. So I wasn't going to get into that. This was fine. So the problem with doing a matte coat is you have to neutralize the sheen on the decals prior to putting your dull coat on it. Otherwise, your paint's going to be dull, but your decals are still going to be very glossy and vibrant. So to counteract that, I learned this from a gentleman a couple of years ago, but I don't remember who it was. They put a gloss coat down, and that makes everything uniformly glossed. And then you put a matte finish over that, and then that equalizes your matte coat. So it worked really well. However, I got a little heavy-handed on my lacquer gloss, and it attacked some of my decals. This side of the car isn't too bad. You can't really notice too much. There's a little bit of bubbling up here on this clock face, but if I pick it up and rotate it, you can see the engine cover and this back part of the car has got all these tiny white dots. See if I can get in real close. All these tiny white dots where it attacked my decals. But the only way to have fixed that was to, dunk the whole thing, strip it, and start over. But I'm not going to go buy new decals, new carbon fiber, and all that, and negate all of my work. So it is what it is. I will still take it to a show or two, or maybe even 4. Who knows? Because it's got a lot of good qualities about it. I'm not expecting anything it to win anything, but I mean, I don't really expect any of my vehicles to win. So the tire decals, I covered that on one of the last videos. Got the Michelin decal on there, and it's dirty, like it's been on the road already, which is kind of nice. Even though it's on a clean car, it is what it is. Tires, white on tires do not stay white unless you just clean them that well. Let's talk carbon fiber. So the engine cover and stuff was provided by SK Decals, but all the carbon fiber on the wing, on the top, if you can tell, if I can get it to show up, it is actually, the weave is in a V shape starting right around where that G is, which is, that's a proper weave pattern. Can't really, I don't know if you can get, let me change that. So grab this real quick. So this, gosh, I don't know if I can get the light to show any of this. We're going to try. But anyway, this back piece here is all done in carbon fiber. Some of it was these uprights. The carbon on that was provided by the SK Decals, but I actually, using some leftover pieces, I made my own carbon fiber for that. It goes underneath as well, and on the sides where the little Michelin man is. And as well, my splitter, or not splitter, my diffuser is also carbon fiber on the top, sides, the fins, and on the bottom. It's all carbon fiber. It's not 100% done, but then nobody's going to see the bottom, which, if you'll notice, nothing's painted under here, except for the chassis got a good coat of semi-gloss black, and I left it at that. None of the suspension is painted, none of the bottom of the engine or the front transaxle, none of that is painted, because when it's sitting like that, you can't see it. So I decided not to spend the time. Nobody's going to see it. Now, if we open this door, carefully. Come on. There we go. I just don't like scratching it. So in here, I don't know if you can see it. Uh, by now, if you're watching me, you've probably already seen the finished product on the Facebook groups. I posted it on several, but the whole cockpit is done in carbon fiber. That was all done with SK decals except for the rear bulkhead. They didn't give any decals for that, even though it's very visible. So I used my own for that. And that was actually Scale Motorsports weave, which isn't quite, I think it's actually a 24th scales weave. So it doesn't show up on camera at all. But that's the only thing I had big enough to cover that bulkhead. Was that. Of course, the mirrors are done in carbon fiber. I did a video on that. At the last second, I decided to pin my mirrors, and I pinned it using a 0.40 millimeter wire. That was about the biggest thing that I could actually drill into the uprights without breaking anything. And the front splitter, it is also done in carbon fiber. Again, I don't think the camera is going to pick it up, but that's done. That was custom cut by me, as well as the canards, if that's what they're called. Those are done in the weave as well. Let's see, what else? I got a glue mark here. For some reason, this nose didn't want to sit on the fenders properly. This side didn't turn out too bad, but there's a pretty good glue mark on the other side. And other than that, again, this piece was a pain in the butt to get in, so I got a glue mark there. The front headlights, they didn't exactly fit perfectly, and if I really kind of needed to sand them down a little bit more so they would fit better, but I just kind of used my finger and forced them. So they're in their right spot. So this was supposed to be a 3 to 4 week project, but it was closer to a month and a half, which I'm fine with it. I did get a lot of interruptions, as typical with me lately. Lots of work going on. So even with, get that dust off there, even with all the decal imperfections with my clear coat problem. Oh, let me raise the engine hood real quick. I might have to get a sharp knife, which I don't like doing, and lift that up. It comes with prop rods for the engine cover, but I found that in my when I was doing my mock-up, it doesn't need the prop rods. It stays up just fine. So you'll also note on my videos that I did all the intake trumpets. They're all carbon fiber. This airbox, the inside is carbon fiber. On the real car, the outside of it, you can't see the carbon fiber weave. I'm not sure why that is, but you can definitely see it on the inside. Why they included this detail, I don't know, because the real car, this is a two-piece airbox. So when the car is running, you can't see any of that because there's an airbox on it. There's a top half to it. And another thing that they kind of missed on is there should be intake runners or tubes going from the back of the airbox here to this spot right here, which I think is supposed to be a plenum. I'm not sure, but somehow the air goes through here and then goes into the air box from here. Not sure how that works. It's in the reference photos. I just don't know how. Ooh, wow. There's a huge glue mark right there on that rear tail light. Looks like another one on the other side. Oh, here's another cool thing. So when I unboxed this originally, one of these tail light exhaust tips was missing out of the kit. It must have fallen off the sprue, the chrome sprue, before they actually stapled the little baggie up, because it was definitely not in there. So I had to make another one of those. And it wasn't that hard to make. I actually used, I bumped my camera. I got a set of these makeup sponges or makeup brushes from Ulta, and the end of it has the perfect bevel or flare, I think you would call it, for that tip, for that exhaust tip. So I just had to cut it down, hollow it out, and yeah. The only problem was this isn't wood. This is hard resin, and it was a pain. But it looks really good. I don't think you would be able to tell which one was the kit one and which one isn't, maybe. Anyway, I think I've rattled on enough. Like I said, go to the Facebook groups or Instagram, and you'll find some better photos of this. The seat harnesses in there, they're not accurate one bit. I don't even know what the name, the decal I put on it. It's not my best work, but I don't really have any real good seat harness hardware. I need to go and buy some if I do another race car. So that's that. That is my 2010 Spa Lamborghini Murcielago. I appreciate you watching, and stay tuned for a new project. Thank you.